Hey, everyone. You already know the Charlie Kirk shooting case is full of holes with things not adding up. In this video, we're breaking down the major inconsistencies that have got people talking from the wound analysis, multiple shooter evidence, site tampering, witness issues, and evidence removal. Stick around to the end. You'll get detailed breakdowns that will change how you see it all, making you question what is really going on. Let's get right into it. Let's kick things off with the wounds themselves, because this is where the official narrative starts to crumble under scrutiny. The authorities claimed Charlie Kirk was hit by a single bullet from a lone shooter, Tyler Robinson, firing a high-powered 30-06 rifle from a rooftop position about 200 yards away. But when you examine the available footage, photos, and expert breakdowns, the entry and exit wounds, or lack thereof, don't match up at all. Eyewitness descriptions and slowed-down videos indicate the impact on Kirk's neck shows no clear entry wound from the alleged angle. Instead, it looks more like damage from a closer range or even from behind, with irregular tearing that suggests fragmentation rather than a clean rifle penetration. Consider the ballistics. A 30-06 round at that distance and velocity should punch a small entry hole and cause massive exit damage, often explosive due to the energy transfer. Think of historical cases like the JFK assassination or even modern hunting wounds where the bullet expands on impact. Yet leaked photos and reports describe no exit wound, just lodged fragments and cauterized edges that resemble a blast from an explosive device or a lower caliber shot. Some analyses point to the shirt expanding oddly right before the blood appears, almost like a special effects squib or a rigged microphone pack detonating. Allegedly, this irregularity could indicate the roof shot was a diversion, with the real damage coming from a concealed operative nearby, perhaps using a 9mm or something suppressed to mimic a different sound profile. In my view, this screams misdirection. If the wound doesn't fit a distant rifle hit, it opens the door to a coordinated setup where Tyler was the patsy, and the actual method was something internal, like a planted explosive to ensure lethality without traceable ballistics. What could have happened? Maybe entities opposed to Kirk's outspoken views on topics like foreign influences or conservative funding saw an opportunity to eliminate a rising voice, staging it as a lone wolf act to avoid deeper investigation. It's not definitive, but it makes you wonder why there's no public autopsy report or radiographs to confirm the bullet path, leaving room for doubt that encourages us all to demand more forensic transparency. Shifting to the multiple shooters theory. This is a layer that adds even more complexity and raises serious questions about coordination. The official line is that Tyler climbed the roof alone, took the shot, and that's it. However, multiple videos and accounts describe flashes and sounds from at least two other spots. One from a nearby building's roof and another from what appears to be a window or ground level position. Eyewitnesses reported hearing pops from different directions, not just the elevated roof, describing one as a sharp crack like a cherry bomb, inconsistent with a single rifle's deep report. Allegedly, this mirrors tactics and false flag scenarios, where a visible patsy draws fire while pros handle the precision work. Take the timing. Footage shows two individuals near the stage making hand signals right before the question about transgender shooters was asked, seconds prior to the chaos. One raises a hand oddly. Another seems to signal back. Could this be go code? Then there's the person to Kirk's right, shaking hands in a way that looks like a distraction. Experts analyzing the audio have noted layered echoes suggesting multiple calibers, not just the 30-06. In my analysis, this points to an inside job, possibly involving trained elements with motives tied to Kirk's shifting stances on geopolitical issues, like his comments on Israel or Epstein-related files. What might have occurred? A team could have used Tyler as bait on the roof, firing the fatal shot from a concealed spot while ensuring the scene looks like a solo act. The gun found later had no serial number and engravings that seemed too on the nose, like Antifa on casings. Why engrave if planning to recover the weapon? This isn't just sloppy errors. It feels calculated to push a specific narrative, prompting us to think about who benefits from framing it as ideological hatred rather than something deeper, like a distraction from larger scandals. Now on to the on-site cover-up theories, beginning with site tampering, and the bizarre digging that followed. Immediately after the shooting, the crime scene was allegedly cleared out at an alarming speed. Reports say agents or personnel hosed down the area, washing away blood, tissue, and potential fragments, which veteran investigators call unprecedented for a high-profile assassination. Why rush to sanitize when preserving evidence is standard protocol? Eyewitness videos capture people digging around the stage and courtyard, tearing up grass, and even paving over sections shortly after. Rumors suggest this was to hide a trapdoor, buried wiring, or embedded devices like a pipeline for escape or planting explosives. In my insight, this level of tampering indicates a professional cleanup to erase traces that don't fit the lone shooter story. If there was a rigged mic pack or shrapnel from a close-range device, pressed by someone in the footage who looks military-grade, the digging might have been removing remnants to prevent linking it to insiders. Compare this to similar rally incidents where unsecured areas led to vanished evidence. Here, the focus was on the podium area, where shrapnel patterns allegedly don't align with the roof trajectory. What happened? I suspect the site was deliberately altered to block independent forensics, perhaps by federal teams protecting higher interests amid tensions like Epstein file releases or international aggressions. Allegedly, the lack of crime scene tape allowed contamination, with people stepping on the chair Kirk sat in and removing items unchecked. This forces us to question systemic involvement. Why no immediate lockdown? And consider how such actions obscure the truth, leaving the public to piece together what feels like a puzzle designed to stay unsolved. Witness silencing is a chilling aspect that can't be overlooked, as it directly impacts our ability to get unfiltered accounts. In the days following, several observers who pointed out suspicious activities, like seeing someone on the roof who didn't match Tyler's description or hearing mismatched gunshots, have either gone silent or reported pressure to back off. One account details a witness who filmed a figure with a different weapon, but authorities dismissed it, while independent voices pursued the discrepancy only to face backlash. Allegedly, this pattern of intimidation echoes other high-stakes cases where testimonies are suppressed through anonymous threats, visits, or even NDAs. My take? If witnesses are being quieted, it's to bury details that contradict the official timeline, such as intentional security lapses or additional actors. What could have happened? Perhaps involved parties, deep state elements, or lobbies threatened by Kirk's criticisms. Deployed tactics to isolate the narrative, discrediting skeptics as conspiracy theorists. Think about the roommate's text from Tyler, phrased in a way that feels scripted and unnatural for a 22-year-old. They surfaced quickly to pin motive on personal hatred. But why no deeper probe into their authenticity? This suppression tactic makes the Patsy story easier to sell, but it should make us pause and ask, without these voices, are we getting a full picture, or just the one they want us to see? Lastly, the SD card and broader evidence removal. This element feels like a plot twist in a spy novel, but it's grounded in footage and reports. Minutes after the shots, unedited videos show a staffer pulling an SD card from the camera with the best angle on Kirk, handing it off to someone who tucks it away and disappears behind the backdrop. This camera could have captured everything. The hand signals, flashes from alternate spots, perhaps even a detonator activation or the shirt anomaly. Allegedly, removing it was to scrub proof of coordination or an internal hit, like a mic explosion. Wider evidence vanishing includes quick wipes of the suspect's digital footprint and the physical scene cleanup. No raw hospital arrival footage, no gurney, no trauma team visible. Just Kirk bundled into an SUV by the same signaling team, with no ambulance in sight despite protocols for large events. The gun recovered? An old model with no serial, wrapped oddly. Doesn't add up for a planned getaway. In my analysis, this suggests a premeditated breach in chain of custody, possibly by insiders linked to Turning Point USA or funding sources uneasy with Kirk's evolving views. What happened? I think the SD card held damning visuals of an inside job, hidden to maintain the illusion of a random act, compared to cases where drones or rangefinders were ignored. Here, it's memory cards and hasty handoffs, not incompetence but precision, invites us to consider, if evidence disappears so efficiently, who had the access and motive to orchestrate that? Wrapping this up, these elements, mismatched wounds, signs of multiple shooters, tampered sites, silenced witnesses, and removed evidence, collectively suggest something far more orchestrated than a solo act of hatred. Allegedly could be a targeted hit to quiet a voice amid geopolitical strains, like Kirk's Israel remarks, or as a diversion from Epstein revelations and economic woes. In my view, the patterns point to powerful interests protecting narratives. But remember, this is drawn from reports and analyses. Use it to fuel your own critical thinking. Question the gaps, demand full releases, and decide for yourself what adds up. Thanks for watching. Let's keep the conversation going in the comments.